Birds are something many of you see regularly without thinking much about them, or maybe they're pets you take care of every day, or perhaps you study them because you're an ornithologist and truly think birds are amazing. Either way, birds exist, and sometimes they appear in flocks of millions all over the world. But considering how vast our planet is, there are obviously some lesser known birds you've probably never heard of. Here are the 20 rarest birds in the world. But before we begin, subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Now let's get started. Number 20, African jacana. Finally, let's travel to Africa to meet the African jacana. These unusual long-legged birds are identified by their extremely long toes and claws. This adaptation allows them to distribute their weight evenly, enabling them to walk on thin floating vegetation, similar to what some insects do to cross water. Impressive, right? African jacanas are very vocal, using a variety of loud calls, squeals, and even bark-like sounds. Yes, a bird that can bark. Their preferred diet consists of freshwater insects and larvae, spiders, crustaceans, and mollusks. Like other opportunistic birds, they will take food wherever it is available, even picking insects off the backs of large animals like hippos. This creates a true win-win scenario. The jacana gets a meal, and the hippo gets rid of parasites. African jacanas can be found throughout sub-Saharan Africa, including Senegal, southern Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, southern Chad, southern Sudan, and Ethiopia. Number 19, Hawaiian crow. Next, we have the Hawaiian crow. Can you guess where it is found? You shouldn't need more than 3 guesses. Before discussing what makes this bird special, it's important to note that it is one of the few animals in the world known to use tools. Consider that for a moment when thinking of animals that use tools. Gorillas often come to mind. They are known to craft and use objects for various tasks. But a crow? That's unexpected. Specifically, the Hawaiian crow can use sticks to extract food from holes. It may seem simple, but it is highly efficient and demonstrates remarkable intelligence. What's more, this behavior is innate. Crow chicks do not need to be taught. They simply do it naturally, which is uncommon among birds. Its intelligence also manifests in vocal communication. Its cacophony of sounds, including screams, howls, and murmurs, conveys information to other birds about threats or social bonds. Unfortunately, the reason this bird is rare is not its abilities, but the fact that it is extinct in the wild. Number 18, Cebu flowerpecker. If you were expecting this next bird to have a more positive story, I'm afraid that's not the case. The Cebu flowerpecker is another rare species, not only biologically, but also because of its habitat. Its name refers to Cebu Island in the Philippines, where it is found. Unfortunately, the island, once rich in forests, has had its natural environment almost completely destroyed due to various factors, including human expansion. How severe is the situation? Currently, only 0.03% of the island's original forests remain intact, leaving just a tiny fraction of its original vegetation, which has undoubtedly devastated all the creatures that once lived there. Preservation and conservation of Cebu's forests are crucial to prevent species like the Cebu flowerpecker from disappearing. The challenge is that scientists do not even know exactly where this bird still exists. Locals believed it was extinct until it was rediscovered in 1992. The remaining population is so small that most information about it is speculative, as there are no captive specimens for study. Projects are underway to locate and encourage reproduction, but it's not an easy task. Every species lost has a cascading impact on biodiversity. Losing just one bird may seem small, but one extinction can trigger another and another, leaving no one better off. Number 17, forest owlet. Do not confuse this species with the grass-type Pokemon Rowlet. While it may have inspired the little pocket monster, the forest owlet is a small owl endemic to the forests of central India. You might think this is an advantage given India's vast size, but it's not that simple. This species is threatened with extinction. The IUCN Red List has classified it as endangered since 2018, with an estimated population of fewer than 1,000 mature individuals. Its greatest threat is deforestation, which, as we've mentioned repeatedly, is caused mainly by humans. Animals need their habitat to survive, thrive, and as humans expand their territory, wildlife suffers. The forest owlet is no exception. In fact, due to the small number of individuals over the years, this species was considered extinct for about 113 years, declared extinct in 1884 and rediscovered in 1997. That's a long time for a bird to disappear and suddenly reappear, demonstrating how birdwatching has evolved over decades. One of the most interesting aspects of this owl is its courtship behavior. The male approaches a female and offers her food, usually a dead rodent. If she accepts, they mate. If not, he eats it and tries his luck with another female. It's a practical method. A small male always has a plan, whether it works or not. But seriously, wouldn't you want such a clever owl to remain on the planet? Number 16, Indian bustard. Now, I need to step out of character here. During the writing of this video, someone accidentally changed a single letter in the name bustard, creating a completely different word, if you know what I mean. Fortunately, the mistake was caught before publication. The Indian bustard is a large terrestrial bird found primarily in India and Pakistan. Its body is elongated and horizontal, with long featherless legs, giving it an ostrich-like appearance. This bird is among the heaviest of all flying birds, a remarkable detail when you think about it, since most flying birds need to be light to take off easily. Even eagles and falcons, which seem robust, do not weigh as much as one might imagine. A distinctive feature of the Indian bustard is the black stripe covering its head. When it needs to communicate with other birds, it inflates a throat pouch to amplify its call, a spectacular sight to witness. The Indian bustard is omnivorous, feeding mainly on insects and beetles, but also consuming seeds, fruits, rodents, and reptiles. In agricultural areas, it may eat exposed crops, meaning it isn't very picky, eating whatever is available and appetizing. If that's not impressive enough, know that the Indian bustard is polygamous. Males mate with multiple females and perform elaborate displays to show off their abilities. Some birds are indeed lucky, but that's just a joke, or almost. Number 15, California condor. Although definitely not one of the most beautiful birds on this list, I cannot deny that the California condor is one of the most unique birds in the world, and also one of the rarest due to the small number that still exists today. Condor numbers declined drastically in the 20th century due to agricultural chemicals, illegal hunting, lead poisoning, and habitat destruction. It's a very sad story, but unfortunately quite common. Fortunately, a plan was implemented that allowed for their repopulation and reintroduction into the wild, especially in northern Arizona. By 2020, there were over 500 of these birds alive, including both wild and captive individuals. Although this number is still small on a global scale, it is far better than extinction. On the more macabre side of nature, California condors are scavengers, meaning they feed on dead animals. They can travel up to approximately 260 kilometers, 160 miles, in search of their next meal, sometimes making this journey daily to ensure they find food. This demonstrates an incredible level of dedication and reinforces the idea that hunger constantly drives us. More seriously, the California condor is considered a sacred animal by some Native American tribes, which is why continued repopulation efforts are so important. Number 14, northern bald ibis. Apologies if some of these bird descriptions are depressing, but in the rare animal kingdom, rare often means endangered, not just hard to spot. The northern bald ibis is a prime example. Most colonies are found in Morocco and Syria, but together they total only about 500 birds. Thus, it is another critically endangered species, which is a shame, especially since it has an elegant appearance, with black plumage and iridescent green, bronze, and violet hues on its wings. Its unique beauty makes it deserving of protection and appreciation, not just occasional notice. Interestingly, these birds begin reproducing very young, with some individuals documented mating at just 3 years old. Considering their lifespan rarely exceeds 15 years, early reproduction makes sense. It may seem gross, but we discovered the northern bald ibis's diet by studying its feces. Analysis revealed it feeds mainly on lizards and beetles, as well as small mammals, ground-nesting birds, and invertebrates like snails, scorpions, spiders, and caterpillars. We hope their population recovers over time. Number 13, black stilt. To find another critically endangered bird, we go to New Zealand, where the black stilt can occasionally be spotted. Just over 2 years ago, only about 169 individuals remained alive. The number has increased since then, but the exact figure is unknown. Adults have distinct black plumage, long pink legs, and a thin black beak. Their appearance truly makes them stand out. Breeding is one of the most crucial parts of the species' survival. Many efforts focus on increasing the population, but this is challenging because in the wild they often mate in only one location. A captive population is maintained for breeding and later release at a facility in Twizel, managed by the Department of Conservation and the Isaac Conservation and Wildlife Trust in Christchurch. Every year they collect eggs from wild black stilts and raise them for future release. It's a labor-intensive process, but it's the only real way to ensure survival. Ironically, the greatest threat to the black stilt isn't humans directly, but invasive species introduced to New Zealand. Even when it's not our fault, it's somehow still our responsibility. Number 12, Christmas frigate bird. No, you can't have one for Christmas, but if you travel to the aptly named Christmas Island, you'll find the Christmas frigate bird. It's a true feast for the eyes due to its size. One of the largest birds of its type, it has a wingspan of over 2 meters, 6.5 feet. The male has a white egg-shaped patch on its belly and an impressive red gular pouch that it inflates to attract a female, a recurring pattern in certain birds. The female is slightly larger than the male and has a white chest and belly. Its feeding habits are both fascinating and gross. It has two methods. The basic one, flying over the ocean and catching fish, is simple enough, but in difficult times it resorts to a peculiar method. It intimidates other birds until they regurgitate the food they've already eaten. Yes, the Christmas frigate bird literally eats the contents of another bird's stomach. It's disgusting on many levels, but perfectly normal for them. Now you know one reason why many birds are considered filthy by humans. Number 11, Imperial Amazon. We know what you're thinking, and no, the Imperial Amazon doesn't live in the Amazon rainforest, and it's not a sacred bird of the legendary Amazon warrior women either. Sorry to disappoint you twice. In reality, you'll find this bird on the island of Dominica in the Caribbean, so if you're planning a tropical island vacation, it's well worth seeing. This is an extremely colorful bird. Males and females have identical plumage. The chest is a dark purple, and the upper parts and feathers are dark green with black-edged feather tips. There are also splashes of orange and red in the plumage, creating a true rainbow effect. It is relatively tall for its species, measuring about 50 centimeters or 20 inches. Its diet is simple. It feeds on fruits, seeds, nuts, berries, flowers, and palm shoots. Its flexible beak allows it to manipulate food in its mouth, making feeding easier. Unfortunately, it is critically endangered. Thankfully, conservation efforts are underway, and for that, we should all be grateful. Number 10, Spix's macaw, the celestial ghost of the Sertão. In the skies of the northeastern Brazilian Sertão, there was once a time when the brilliant blue of a rare bird streaked across the hot, dry air like a ray of purity. It was the Spix's macaw, a bird so beautiful and rare that it seemed like a mirage amid the whitish caatinga. Its scientific name, Cyanopsita spixi, honors the German naturalist Johann Baptist von Spix, who first described it in the early 19th century. Since then, it has become a symbol of beauty, loss, and hope. The Spix's macaw is small, measuring about 55 centimeters, 22 inches in length, with a blue that seems to shift in tone depending on the sunlight. Its wings are darker blue, while the chest and head display a soft, almost silvery shade. Its alert black eyes reflect the intelligence and curiosity typical of macaws, but with a hint of melancholy, as if aware of its own rarity. Life in the Sertão. Unlike its tropical relatives who inhabit dense forests, the Spix's macaw chose an unlikely home, the semi-arid Sertão of Bahia, especially near the São Francisco River. Among mandicaris and twisted juazeiro trees, it found shelter. Its primary refuge and food source was the caribera tree, which provides shade, seeds, and ideal nesting cavities. Life in the Caatinga requires resilience. Rainfall is scarce, and the sun beats down on cracked earth. Still, the Spix's macaw thrived, adapting to extreme heat and the harsh environment. Its blue plumage served both as camouflage in the open sky and as a luminous beacon across the dry land. Its flight was discreet and elegant, and its song, a sharp, melodic, melancholic sound, echoed like a distant memory of a forgotten paradise. decline, but the balance of the Sertão is fragile. With the expansion of livestock and agriculture, capybara trees began to disappear. Trees were cut down to make way for pastures. Illegal hunting and wildlife trafficking dealt the final blow. Every captured macaw meant more money on the black market and less hope in Brazil's skies. By the 1980s, researchers realized what few had noticed. The Spix's macaw was disappearing. Expeditions were organized, sightings reported, but they became increasingly rare. In 2000, the last known wild individual, a solitary male, was seen flying near the Curaçao River. He called for a mate who never answered. After that, silence fell over the Sertão, extinction and hope. For years, it was believed that the Spix's macaw was extinct in the wild, but a small captive population still existed. About 60 birds maintained by breeders and conservation institutions in various countries. Thanks to a coordinated international effort, these birds became the last chance to bring blue back to Brazil's skies. The Chico Mendes Institute for Biodiversity Conservation, ICMBio, and international partners launched a captive breeding project, investing in genetics, behavior, and reintroduction. The macaws began multiplying slowly under constant supervision. Each chick represented a spark of hope. In 2020, a historic event occurred. A group of Spix's macaws was reintroduced into the wild in a reserve in the Bahia Sertão. It was a symbolic, almost mythical moment, seeing those blue feathers cut across the horizon after 2 decades of absence. Some researchers wept as they heard the macaw's song echo among the rocks. A global symbol, the story of the Spix's macaw crossed borders. It inspired books, documentaries, and, of course, the famous film Rio, 2011, where a fictional blue macaw named Blue represents the struggle for the species' survival. Millions learned about the Spix's macaw for the first time through the animation, helping fund new conservation programs and raising awareness about wildlife trafficking. But real life is more complex than cinema. Released macaws face immense challenges: natural predators, extreme drought, and scarcity of nesting trees. Successful reintroduction depends not only on their survival, but also on ecosystem restoration, including replanting capybaras and involving local communities who now see the macaw as a regional symbol of pride rather than a source of quick profit. The voice of the Sertão. There is something profoundly poetic about one of the rarest birds in the world living in one of the most arid, forgotten environments on Earth. The Spix's macaw is essentially a portrait of Brazil, resilient, vibrant, threatened, yet full of life. Scientists monitoring the reintroduction report that the birds are learning to recognize predators, search for food, and even form pairs. Each recovered natural behavior is celebrated as a small victory. One macaw named Ava was the first observed building a nest in the wild in over 20 years. A historic milestone. Between sky and dust, the Spix's macaw is also a lesson in humanity's relationship with nature. We destroyed its home and brought it to the brink of extinction, but we also chose to fight for its return. The same ingenuity that once built cages now erects sanctuaries. The Sertão that once witnessed silence now timidly hears the sound of blue. It's as if time itself is being reversed, a cycle of death transformed into rebirth. When the Spix's macaw sings, locals say it is a sign of hope. And perhaps they are right. The future of blue today, over 100 Spix's macaws live in captivity in breeding programs in Brazil and abroad. Small groups have been released and new release plans are underway. Each bird carries a lightweight tail transmitter for monitoring. Scientists study their flights, habits, and even friendships, because like all macaws, they are social and deeply bonded to their partners. The future is still uncertain, but the Spix's macaw has already proven something few animals have. It can come back from extinction in the wild, a rare and extraordinary achievement, comparable only to the return of the California condor or the gray wolf in the United States. More than a bird. The Spix's macaw is more than a species. It's an idea, a reminder that beauty can vanish if unprotected, but can also be reborn if there's will. It represents the best and worst of humanity, our ability to destroy and heal, to forget and remember. Perhaps in the future, Bahia's sky will once again be dotted with small blue points crossing the horizon, free, calling to one another. And perhaps when that happens, we will finally understand what it means to coexist, because the story of the Spix's macaw is not just the story of a bird. It is the story of a people, a country, and a planet attempting to reconcile with nature itself. And as long as there is a single blue wing beating over the Sertão, there will be hope. Number 9. The oil bird. Urutau. Yes, I know. It's a funny name for a bird, but don't be fooled. The oilbird Urutau is famous for its eerie calls in the wild. A warning to you, it also has a peculiar appearance. The oilbird is widely distributed across southern Central America and the northern and central plains of South America. However, habitat loss has severely impacted its populations. What sets it apart from most birds is that, like owls, it hunts at night, feeds on insects, and is an expert aerial hunter. Bad news for the insects. During the day, it perches in a spot and remains completely motionless, regardless of what happens around it. A truly curious behavior. Number 8. Tufted Puffin, the clown of the North Seas. Amid the icy waves of the North Pacific, where the wind blows fiercely and the ocean changes its mood by the hour, lives one of the most fascinating and charismatic birds on the planet, the tufted puffin, Fratercula curata. With its colorful beak, expressive eyes, and elegant plumage that makes it look like a little comedian in a black and white suit, it's both a symbol of beauty, resilience, and vulnerability. But despite the almost comical appearance that has endeared it to birdwatchers and photographers alike, the tufted puffin is facing one of the most critical periods in its history. What was once a common sight along the rocky coasts of California, Oregon, and Alaska has now become a rare occurrence, disappearing slowly and silently like foam carried away by the sea. An icon of the cold seas. The tufted puffin belongs to the auk family, marine birds adapted to life between air and ocean. It is primarily found along the coasts of the North Pacific, from Japan and Russia to Alaska and Canada. It is easily recognized by its tufts, golden, curved feathers that grow behind the eyes during the breeding season, giving it a majestic and almost exotic look. These tufts are temporary, appearing only during mating season, when males try to impress females. And it's impossible to deny, when the Arctic sun touches those golden feathers, the tufted puffin seems to sparkle like a living jewel over the gray sea. Its large, colorful beak, bright orange, yellow, and red, is another trademark. Like the tufts, its colors intensify in spring and fade in winter, when the birds stop displaying and return to a simpler, more discreet appearance. Life at sea. For most of the year, the tufted puffin is a creature of the open ocean. It spends months without touching land, riding the cold currents of the Pacific. Its short but powerful wings make it an exceptional swimmer. Underwater, it moves like a small torpedo, chasing schools of fish with speed and precision. It feeds mainly on anchovies, sardines, and small crustaceans. To catch them, it dives up to 60 meters, flapping its wings as if flying underwater. It can carry several fish at once in its beak, thanks to a special structure that allows it to hold one prey while catching others. In the air, the story is different. Although capable of flight, the tufted puffin requires considerable effort to take off. It beats its wings frenetically, up to 400 times per minute, to lift off. Its short wings are made for swimming, not gliding, so it prefers to launch from cliffs using the free fall to gain momentum. The land season. It's only during summer that these birds return to land for an event that is both romantic and chaotic. Reproduction. The cliffs of Alaska and the Aleutian Islands become a spectacle of colors and sounds. Thousands of tufted puffins gather in noisy colonies, filling the air with deep calls that sound like muffled laughter. It's the annual reunion of partners who in most cases remain faithful for life. Pairs build nests in burrows dug into soft soil or among rocky crevices. Each female lays only one egg per year, and both parents take turns incubating it and searching for food. For weeks, they endure cold winds and long fishing trips to ensure their chick has a chance to survive. When the chick finally hatches, it is fed fresh fish multiple times a day. After about 40 days, it takes its first plunge into the sea, and then disappears, following ancestral instincts that will lead it to live alone until maturity. The silent decline. For centuries, tufted puffins were abundant. Alaskan fishermen saw them by the thousands flying over cliffs, and their nests were a common sight. But in recent decades, populations have plummeted. In California, they have nearly vanished. In Oregon and Washington, numbers remain low. Even in Alaska, once considered the last safe haven, signs of decline are evident. The causes are multiple: climate change, overfishing, pollution, and the introduction of predators to islands where they never existed before. Warming Pacific waters directly affect the marine ecosystem, changing the routes and abundance of fish that the puffins rely on. Without enough food, many chicks starve before they can fly. Oil spills and plastic contamination have devastating consequences. Feathers lose their insulating ability, and birds succumb to cold or toxicity. Another critical factor is invasive mammals, such as rats and foxes introduced by humans to remote islands. These predators destroy eggs and kill chicks, devastating entire colonies in a single season. The mystery of disappearance. On some California islands, scientists reported something strange. Nests were empty but untouched. No sign of predators, no carcasses, no clues. It was as if the birds had simply vanished. Later studies showed the problem was at sea. The scarcity of fish forced puffins to fly farther to feed, using more energy than they could recover. Many died along the way. Others abandoned reproduction entirely. Biologists call this energy collapse. For puffins, it's like an invisible sentence. The environment appears the same, but no longer supports life as it once did. Sentinels of climate-tufted puffins are considered bioindicators, species that reveal environmental changes through their behavior and health. When they disappear, it signals that the ocean is out of balance. What scientists are seeing is alarming. Warmer oceans, altered currents, prey shortages, and off-season storms. All of this affects not only puffins, but the entire North Pacific marine ecosystem, from fish to seals, whales, and human communities dependent on fishing. Slow recovery. Despite everything, there is hope. Reintroduction programs and colony protection efforts are underway in several regions. Researchers build artificial burrows, control invasive predators, and monitor populations using bands and drones. On the Farallon and Aleutian Islands, small colonies are beginning to show signs of recovery. Each spring, some puffins return to rebuild nests abandoned decades ago. They are few, but each one represents a victory. Awareness campaigns have helped reduce plastic waste and promote sustainable fishing practices. Responsible ecotourism also contributes, generating local income and reinforcing the value of conservation. Number 7. The Hoatzin. I've joked about a few birds on this list because of their looks or quirks, but the Hoatzin is a completely unique species. Because of its unusual behavior and appearance, it's considered a genetic mystery. You'll find it deep in the Amazon rainforest, where it behaves unlike any other bird I've mentioned. In terms of looks, it seems like a mashup of several different bird species. Can it fly? Well, yes, but not very well. It almost looks like it's trying to be a bird, but hasn't quite figured it out. That's partly because this species evolved from dinosaurs and still retains some prehistoric traits. For example, young Hoatzins have claws on their wings. Oh, and did I mention that they feed only on leaves? That's right, it's the only bird species in the world that does that. Number 6, the kakapo. Now, moving on to a slightly stranger bird, although I may have pronounced its name wrong, the kakapo. Just one look at this bird and you'll understand why it's considered a bit odd. Its appearance is unique, but what really stands out is that it's a nocturnal parrot, something you don't hear about often. And here's the strangest part, it's also a flightless parrot. Before research on this species began, no one even imagined a parrot could be incapable of flight. Native to New Zealand, it lives in island forests and is critically endangered. Today, New Zealanders are working hard to save this species, and that's vital for several reasons. One key reason is that the kakapo has a very long lifespan, which gives conservationists more time to help the population recover. Number 5, the keel-billed toucan. Look, everyone, it's Toucan Sam. Well, not exactly, but it's definitely a close relative, minus the obsession with sugary cereal, of course. The keel-billed toucan isn't as endangered as some of the other birds on this list, thankfully. Let's focus on its features. Its most notable trait is its extremely colorful beak, which takes up about 1/3 of its body length. But despite its size, the beak is surprisingly light and very strong. Strong enough to pluck fruit from a branch, toss it in the air, and swallow it whole. Oh, and sometimes it spits out seeds to help form its nest. Number 4, the ribbon-tailed astrapia. Found in one of the most biodiverse places on Earth, Papua New Guinea, the ribbon-tailed astrapia is without a doubt one of the most visually stunning birds ever seen. Its most striking feature is its tail, which truly looks like 2 long hanging ribbons. And the length, it can be astonishing. Some tails grow over 1 meter long. Unfortunately, that beauty comes at a cost. These rare feathers make the birds a target for hunters, placing the species in the near threatened category. But don't worry too much. I did say near threatened. They're not in immediate danger yet, but hunting and habitat loss are making survival harder and harder. Number 3, the quetzal. Have you noticed how many truly beautiful birds there are out there? That alone should be a reason to make sure they never go extinct, especially when we're talking about a national symbol. In this case, I'm referring to the resplendent quetzal, the national bird of Guatemala and widely regarded as one of the most beautiful birds in the world. It's famous for its bright green plumage, vibrant red underparts, shaggy green crest, and above all, for its long tail feathers that can be twice the length of its body. Fortunately, and perhaps thanks to its cultural status, these birds are not currently endangered. Still, you'd need to travel to South America if you want to see one in the wild. Number 2. The Sulu hornbill. Unfortunately, this is one of the rarest birds in the world because of its critical conservation status. It used to be endemic to several islands in the Philippines, but in some of those places, it was hunted to extinction. By 2019, it was estimated that only 27 individuals remained worldwide. That makes it not just a rare bird, but one of the rarest animals on the entire planet. In fact, it's so rare that if you visit its Wikipedia page, you won't even find a photograph, just an illustration. We can only hope its population manages to recover, but it's going to be an uphill battle given how few of them are left. Number 1. The Andean cock of the rock. Yes, that's right. This bird is known as the Andean cock of the rock, and I'll try not to repeat that name too many times, or I might end up laughing non-stop. You're welcome. Jokes aside, this creature is a large passerine bird from the Cotingidae family, native to the cloud forests of the Andes in South America. It's widely recognized as the national bird of Peru. One of the most curious things about this bird, aside from its name, is that males and females look so different you might think they're from different species. But they're not. They're the same. Their diet is fairly simple, consisting mainly of fruits, complemented by insects, amphibians, reptiles, and small rodents. They aren't officially endangered, but no one knows exactly how many individuals exist today, so this is one of those cases where we just have to go with the best estimates available. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed our content, subscribe to our channel and leave a like. Check out other interesting content appearing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. See you next time.